Welcome to day 6, Begin Again 7-day devotional. I'm so excited about day 6. If you've missed it or if you're just catching up, you can go catch up days 1 through 5. But today we are jumping into Is Shame Your Enemy or Your Friend? And if you have not come along with this is a 7-day devotional by Leanna Tancarsley from the Bible app. And it's all about beginning again. And this is worth your time. It's worth a read. And if you want to read along with me, you can go ahead and grab the Bible app. You can go to Bible.com or you can download it on your phone to be a part of this. So I'm going to take just a second so you can go grab today, day 6, to read along, and we'll be right back to jump to the message. All right, so let's jump in. This message is so encouraging, and we are pulling from John 8:36 will be today's verse, and I'll get into the prompt in just a second. But again, we are on day 6, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. So, beginning again, is shame your friend or your enemy? Beginning again helps us live moment to moment, all the while nudging us gently on our journey of transformation. God recently asked me a question I was not ready for. He said, what if shame isn't your greatest enemy after all? What if shame is actually your dearest friend? What if you are more attached to this shame stance than you realize? What if your greatest fear is being rid of it? What would you have then if you didn't have this self-condemnation? That vicious voice is comforting in a weird way. It is the voice I recognize more than any other. What would I be left with if it was no longer with me? You are allowed to leave it, Leanna. Unhook from it. Not need it anymore. You are allowed to believe something else. You are allowed to be comfortable with your own strength. I want so deeply to be out of my spirals, free from the closed loops in my own mind. But I hadn't expected what I heard. I hadn't even considered that I was nourishing shame, protecting it, that it was a closer companion than I care to admit. So close, in fact, I recognize its voice more clearly than my own voice, than the voice of God. This is the honest truth. I hear the voice of shame, and it's the most familiar thing to me. Its viciousness is so familiar to me, I have to consciously dissent. What's scary is that I want to be rid of it, and yet I keep going back to it. I keep giving it power. I keep sliding into its narrative. For some of us, it's fear or anger, resentment, regret, contempt, control, our victim status. We want to be free, but we also don't, because we believe these companions have served us, or at least they have kept us from being alone. What would we have if we no longer had fear? What would be left holding? What would we have if we no longer had anger? What would we have to face if we no longer harbored contempt? What would we talk about if we no longer talked about them or those people or that community like we become so accustomed to doing? Once you begin to confront your own attachments, securities, pet pathologies, and once you sense God inviting you to hand them to Him, you will know something transformative is happening. But transformation always requires us to leave something behind. Transformation always requires us to leave something behind. So the prompt today is to spend time imagining what your life would look like if you were free from fear, from anger, from regret, shame, condemnation, all of those things that can hold us back. Spend some time today imagining what your life would look like if you were free from those things. This message is so encouraging. And just as a reminder for anyone that this is your first time tuning in, those are not my words. I'm actually reading directly from the Bible app devotional so that we can all read along together. But I'm going to share a few words around this topic today because I think it's so powerful and it's something that many of us are faced with. And a challenge that I've been giving myself lately is to not be so doubting of my own ability to think, my own ability to take action, my own ability to hear from God and step out. because we're so reliant or fearful of making mistakes or reliant on other people to think for us. And I believe that that is what this message today touches on. So our verse is coming from John 8:36, and it says, if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. I would definitely encourage you to read all of John 8, but it's powerful because it talks about where our true freedom comes from. It's not from someone else's opinion. It's not from who your haters may be. It's not from who will insert whatever advice, tips, thoughts, or anything, even if it's well-meaning. Our freedom comes from God. And so when we're set free, when we have freedom from feeling condemned all the time, or freedom from overwhelming guilt, or freedom from fear or regret, or living in the past so much that we can't even embrace our present to march forward towards the future, we remain stuck. But when it's time to begin again, which is the whole message that we're talking about in this devotional, we have to be ready to release that need for approval, that need for validation from people that don't have the power to validate you. And that's what I get from today's message. I would love to know, if you're reading this, what you've gotten from it. What are you getting from today's prompt? When you start thinking about imagining the things that you would believe God for, imagining the goals that you would set, the vision that you would step out, how you would use this life that you've been given. What would you do if it was not attached to fear? If it wasn't attached to those things that we talked about, the regret, the doubt, anger, all of these things that can hold us up. So that is today's topic. Day 6 is shame your friend or your enemy. As always, I would love for you all to comment. That's a great way to not only support the channel, but encourage someone else with your story. Share your feedback, your thoughts on the devotional, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Dun, dun, dun. Subscribe here to the channel. If you haven't, tell someone, tag someone, especially if you think they would be interested in being a part of our devotional series, because we are on day 6. Tomorrow will be day 7. And then we are wrapping the begin again. That has taken like 30 days to cover the 7. But I will be, my goal is to be intentional about bringing these Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. because I know that getting up early can be a game changer. If you're in a season in your life where it's just not the time for you to be getting up early, I understand. However, if you have been feeling God calling you to just get up a bit earlier, to start your morning off early, that is who I'll be streaming for at 5 a.m. Even if you don't catch it live, just catch it when you can. But if you catch it live, I'll be live there with you all in the chat so that we can start our morning off and getting into the word, giving God the first fruits of our day, and just being in that position to really thrive. That's what it's all about. So our next devotional will be focus. I'm doing a 21-day focus fast to kickstart the year so that you can be intentional about your year and be focused on God's will for you. So that is my message for you today. This is your new beginning. I'm Erica Latrice. If you don't know me, you can stay connected with me across social media at Erica Empowers. And as I always tell you, go out and make today so amazing that people can't help but get excited to celebrate and feel great when they get around you. Take care.